Thank you, President Shelton. As I mentioned in my report, we have been actively organizing in Macomb since the early 2000s. Workers at Consolidated Biscuit Company had first approached the BCTGM back in the late 90s, but things started really moving forward in early 2000s. Back then, the company was owned by the Apple family, and it was called Consolidated Biscuit Company. There were 1,000 workers there, primarily made Nabisco products like Oreo, Chips Ahoy, and Saltines. That is exactly why it was such an important target for this union. Nabisco had just shut down 2 of our plants in Pittsburgh and Houston, and a lot of that production had gone to Macomb. We could clearly see that Nabisco was trying to avoid our union, and enlisting the help of non-union co-packers was one of the ways of doing that. In 2002, once the company knew we were actively organizing there, they utilized every anti-union tactic at its disposal. Captive audience meetings, use of anti-union consultants, firing union activists, surveillance, harassment, discipline, threats. The company's actions were so egregious and illegal, especially the firings, that these workers became the face of the AFL-CIO's campaign for labor reform. I mean that literally. A couple of fired workers ended up on the AFL-CIO's poster promoting the Employee Free Choice Act, the big labor law reform at the time. The workers at CBC lost the election, but we filed federal charges against the company for their illegal actions. This should have been an open and shut case, as the Labor Board found the company guilty of extreme violations of the act. And yet, for over 8 years, the company ignored the Labor Board's rulings and refused to comply with the board's settlement. For over 8 years, the company was able to delay justice for these brave workers. When we finally did have the rerun election, the company reacted the same way it had in 2002. It ran another vicious anti-union campaign with no repercussions. These anti-union companies are likely like bratty children. If they are not adequately disciplined, they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again. CBC, like so many other companies, knew they could break the law to keep the union out, and the NRB was virtually paralyzed to do anything about it. Around this time, CBC had been bought by Hearthside Food Solutions, a giant food processing company that is owned by 2 large financial companies. They asked the workers there to give them a chance. And guess what happened? Hearthside Food Solutions was just as bad as Consolidated Biscuit. In fact, problems got worse. So not surprisingly, the workers wanted another chance to join our great union. The last election in Macomb took place in 2020. And again, the company ran an anti-union campaign that focused heavily on the Hispanic workers. The union narrowly lost the election. The video you're about to see is with a woman, Gracie Hellman. Gracie's husband, Terry, who is a former Marine, has also been trying to help organize with the BCTGM for the last 2 decades. Gracie is a longtime employee of CBC and Hearthside Foods. She has worked at Macomb Bakery for 33 years and has been helping to organize the union for over 20 years. She has seen all the company dish out. I think it's also important to mention that Gracie came to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. in 2020 to testify for the United States Senate Committee on the way she and other workers at Hearthside Food were being treated as they tried to form a union. Her brave testimony visibly moved members of the committee. Please play the video.
My name is Gracie Hildeman, and I live in Pandora, Ohio, and I work for Hearthside Foods. We package cookies and we box them off and we chip them off. That's what we do. 3 years ago, maybe, we were working on line 9 and we're packing, and they said they found a bed bug on these cases. And they blamed us for this, because we're always to be blamed for whatever happens, goes wrong, it's our fault, you know. So then they lined everybody up and they said, you guys need to go to the first aid room. And they told us to strip, and they searched us, and you felt like you were in prison. We went to the police department and we said, you know, this and this is going on. And they said, well, you guys need a union. A union buster, they come in there and they tell you all about, lie about the union. They're gonna close down the place. They you're gonna lose all your wages. They intimidate us really bad. They scare people so bad of losing the jobs. I think it's time for America and American workers to have the law by their side. The PRO Act would protect people from all this indignities and injustice. We've had 3 elections. And the first election, they fired 7 workers. And they used them as examples, you know. We didn't get all the votes we needed. But we're still trying to organize. My mom always told me, you do not quit. And till the time I retire, I'm gonna try to make sure that we make this thing right. And hopefully we'll get a union in there.